All right, we're going to talk about questions, right? That's what Deb was talking about in the kids' message, but it's questions are really important. And what I want to say, I'm just going to kind of let the cat out of the bag right away, that the problem is not that we have questions. Questions are good. A lot of people are like, man, I don't want to, if I have any kind of question, it might offend God or whatever. He's our Father, right? And so if we have questions, if we have things we're really grappling with, things that are kind of plaguing our conscience, he wants us to ask. He says you don't have because you don't ask. And so the door is always open, man. He's always wanting us to just ask, even the really, really hard questions. But sometimes, as Deb pointed out in the kids' message, it's not really a question. You ever have that happen? Where you're like, oh man, that's more of a statement. It's more of an attack. And so we have, even as Christians, we have questions that come from our faith. Again, that come from a conscience that really wants to know the answer. But then there's other questions where we are, maybe we're trying to justify something. A lot of times we'll say, can you be a Christian and do this, that, and the other, right? Can you drink beer if you're a Christian? Can you have tattoos? Is 2 full sleeves, is that okay? And again, sermon's not going to be about do's and don'ts. Maybe we'll have a sermon like that where we can explore some of those things, but that bothers some people. And they might ask, because they have their kid who's all tatted up, is it okay? Can he be a Christian? And what they want is their preacher to go, yeah, you tell them it's wrong to do that, so that now I have God's and the pastor's stamp to tell them to go get those things covered up. Which, again, if your kid has 2 full sleeves, cat's out of it's the train has left the station and you're in trouble. You got to catch that when it's the first one, maybe, if you have a problem with that. But it's all those other things. Am I asking because I'm really concerned? I was just talking to someone the other day, and the big question that everyone says that, and it's usually asked by someone who doesn't want to have Jesus be so exclusive as to the only way to heaven. And they'll say, well, what about that guy who, right, there's a guy somewhere, he's in Borneo, or what I'm talking about? He's up in Tibet in some long, remote place that I guess human beings have never touched and they've never heard the gospel. Is God going to send that guy to hell? Is he saved if he doesn't hear the gospel? Really? Is that a burning question? Because if it's a burning question, my answer, and if you have that burning question, you need to get some airline tickets to wherever that dude lives and go and tell him about Jesus. Because he's on your heart right now. But we ask that because I want to be able to say, well, it's not that important. But it could be a good question. It could be one that could, kind of get you psyched to bring the gospel to people who have never heard it. See the difference? Same question, but it's where it's coming from. Are you trying to justify? Do you want to say, okay, I want the answer to be yes, I can do that because I want to keep doing it, right? Is it okay to yell at the TV when the Phillies blow a lead, right? Is it okay to throw something at the TV, right? Am I justified in doing that? Now, if you're asking that question, you're asking because you want to be able to sort of do whatever you want. But questions are really, really important. We're going to see a really important one that it's less of a question than it is a statement by Jesus, and some really awesome things. So, because Jesus turns what is a real difficult situation into a time to teach us. All right. So we're going to be in Matthew 22. Let's grab verse 15. We're going to start with. And right away, I love this passage because Matthew just gives us, we don't have to speculate. We don't have to guess what's going on in the Pharisees' mind. In fact, if you read the chapters really before this, you understand why these religious leaders, Pharisees, Sadducees, now we have a bunch of guys named the Herodians there, why they're so angry, why they want to kill Jesus, why they want to trap him. Because he has been, as we talked about last week, kind of calling them and all of God's people from the past to task for not being, right, for not embracing all that God has given to them. And so you had wicked leadership in terms of the people of God throughout history. Look back in the Old Testament, and it's pretty scary when you see all the kings And very few of them did what God wanted them to do. Very few of them dealt with sin and idolatry. Very few. And that's why the prophets had to come, right? And what was their response to the prophets? Oh man, we're horrible. Lord, please forgive us. No, it was, let's kill them. And so Jesus begins to tell these parables and he's really just talking about them, and he wants to hit them where they live. And you'd think that the Pharisees and the Sadducees, if you're hearing Jesus, who is God, bring all this truth, you'd be like, yeah, we really messed up. We believe in you. We trust in you. We're sorry. Please forgive. We're laying ourselves at your mercy. But they're like, nope. Back to plan one, right? Kill, destroy, shut down, right? Do away with them. Don't take the truth in, but bring it. So what they do is, after last week, remember we talked about the wedding feast. We talked about the king invited all his people, but they rejected him. They killed some of the servants who had issued this most amazing invitation to the event of eternity. And they wind up killing some of the people bringing the invitation. And Jesus knows, they know Jesus is talking to them. And so they go away and they begin to plot. I kind of look at, they sort of reset. They're like, oh man, this ain't working. You know what I mean? We're trying, but he just keeps hitting us. And he keeps really hitting the nail on the head. So they want to trap him. They want to get him to say something they can use. And so they send their disciples. Maybe this is the JV team. I'm not sure. These are maybe, junior Pharisees. And, some scholars have speculated that maybe these guys it was a tactical move. I mean, we've tried with the heavy hitters. Let's send, he'll maybe be tricked by the ones that are maybe the apprentices that are coming up, right? And he throws in some Herodians. So a different group. We don't have much on who the Herodians are. I'll be honest. It's you can kind of gather from their name that they supported the Herod family. So there's a bit of a political bent to them, which is important because the question is religious and it's political. Right? And it's designed to give a great result. If he answers yes or no, as Deb pointed out, he's toast. They will get him. Right? So they say teacher, and they butter him up at the very beginning. And I think this is really, to me, the height of sadness, or the depths of sadness, when you look at, these are men who were supposed to be like doing God's work. And it breaks my heart. It should break your heart too. When they say these words and they really don't mean them. High praise, and it's empty. It's nothing. In fact, these same people, right? Same, let's just say class of people. I don't know if it was the exact guys. It may have been some of them. Because this is Holy Week where this is happening. Jesus has already come into Jerusalem as the king. He's already overturned the money changers' tables. It's on, man. And they are just full court press. They need to shut him down and all of these things. And these are the same ones who are going to praise him here and challenge his devotion to God versus Caesar, who will, when Pilate says, here's your king. Remember that? And what do they say? We have no king but God? No, they say, we have no king but Caesar. Oh, that gets me so angry. Because I'm like, okay, so it suits you there, but here, you're going to play. So they say, okay, we know you're legit. Jesus, you're true. You teach the way of God truthfully. You don't care about, and this is all 100% true. This is who Jesus is. But and I think the reason why they're laying it on so thick is to kind of lull Jesus, as if the creator of the universe could be lulled into a trap. You know what I mean? Like he's some kind of mouse, and there's a little crude mouse trap with a little piece of cheese, like he's just like that. It'll get him and it'll be done. He knows all. He sees all. He knows what's going on. But they want to perhaps lead him to believe that they just got a question, and it's an important one, and on the surface it is. Who has your allegiance? Like, who do you serve? Who's your God? What do you do? How should we, right? You're not swayed. Tell us what you think. This is a safe place. We're just here to talk, Jesus. Tell us, is it okay? Is it a right thing to do for us to pay these taxes to Caesar or not? Now, this is what they call a poll tax. And of all the taxes, this is probably their least favorite. I got, in the early service, no one said that they love paying taxes. Anybody here love paying their taxes? Oh, let me pay me some taxes. Can I just do that? No, nobody does. But this one was almost like an insult. For some people, it may have made them think that they were like, because the emperors wanted them to worship them as God. And this had his picture on it, and it was used to kind of pay tribute. It was kind of saying, I'm your king, I'm your ruler, and you have to pay this as a form of, like, it's a symbol of your servitude. And oh my goodness, for those Jewish people, how that must have, to say chafed is kind of mild. It must have been so hard to put that in the plate. But I don't think these guys are worried about that. That's the problem, is it's not a concern. It's not coming out of their faith. They're not like, man, we're really wrestling with this and we know you're the one who can give us the answer. No, they want an answer by which to crucify him or at least shut him down. So Jesus knows, he sees their mouths, he sees what this is all about, and he's like, all right, give me the coin. Whose picture's on it? Whose likeness is on it? And they say it is Caesar's. And so he says to them, therefore, okay, I want you to give to Caesar. This is his coin. Just give him his coin. That's his coin. Right? We get in the Bible right, if you want to get some wisdom about how you should obey as a citizen of whatever country you're in, it's you obey up until, as the book of Acts says, till they tell you not to worship God. Right? But everything else, speed limits, taxes, all those other things, got to pay them. Got to pay them. But if they tell you, you can't worship God, you can't believe in Jesus, you need to denounce him, that's when you go, whoop, hard pass, not going to do it. If this is just a tax, this is just a coin. That's what Jesus is saying. It's not applying that he's God. You're not agreeing that he's God at all. And then he says, as Deb pointed out, it was so good, that we should give to God the things that are God's. And I want to really focus on that today, because I think that's really the thing that, again, even when they heard it, they were like, whoa. They marveled and they left him and they went away. Now they'll be back, right? There'll be another wave of questions, another wave of issues. But at first, it's like, it's like in Matlock, where it's like no further questions. Mic drop, done. They're quiet. They got nothing. Now, is that the takeaway? Because all week I'm like, man, is that the takeaway with this? That we go, yeah, go Jesus. Yeah, you got him. Yeah, I think we could probably have that as a takeaway. He's so awesome and so incredible and so focused on what he's there to do, that in the face of this, I think it's just wicked abuse of power and knowledge and the good gifts of God, that he would actually give us something that is incredible, right? This truth that I am to give God all of me. Let's think about this. What belongs to God? Do we really think about that? I think that's what Jesus wants us to think about. That's what he wants them to, he's sending them back. Think about that. In this world, yeah, deal with the governmental things, but in everything else, and even how you see government and all those other things, is a gift from God. Your very life. I want to challenge you this whole week. Think about what belongs to God and what you think belongs to you. Oh, that's a different question, isn't it? That's one I don't really want to answer. I don't really want to think about it. It's all his. You know the song, This Is My Father's World? Ever sung that? I love that song. This is my Father's world, right?
But how can I sing that and then think, well, no, it's mine? Like, he can have this part of it, the church, this building, it's his, right? Cool. God, you can have that. He's not just saying it's narrowly. Give him your hour where you praise him, your hour where you sing, your hour where you do that. I'll bet that for many of us, it's hard to give God 5 minutes, isn't it? Have you ever tried that at home? How hard it is to give him any kind of time. Because what happens the moment you sit down? You're like, I know I need to give him this time. I want to read the scriptures. I want to give this. And ironically, the giving of things to God is actually what? The getting of things for us. How crazy is that? Like, oh man, it's so hard for me to get in the Word and pray and ask when all God is trying to do is fill us with hope, fill us with truth, give us answers to all the questions we have, to give us solutions to all the things that are going on. And they're not intellectual solutions or answers, they are Him in all of His fullness. So that's the reason why I want to be all in, the reason why I want to just pour out my heart to Him and say, Lord, it's all about you. I want to give you everything, nothing, holding nothing back. That's what he's saying. He didn't say give to God some of the things. Give him what is his. We are his people. His possession, right? His kingdom. He's brought us into that. And so we give him all that we have, right? Our intellect. We give him our emotions. We give him our skills. If we can play an instrument, right? We play for him. If it's teaching, we teach. If it's learning, right? Some of you are in school and you're learning. That's from him. But again, it's just crazy because even everything, a single thing I mentioned, it's him given to you. But I got no time. So, I mean, you have no time for the Lord to fill you with limitless things that he has for you as you do your job. And yes, we do give to others, right? To our families, to our work, to the teacher. We give them the paper that we wrote or whatever. But again, God is the one who gave you that person. This week, I want you to think about that. Take some time just thinking, like, Lord, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what you give. Thank you for the people. Thank you for the opportunities. Thank you for all of that, Lord. And I want to give that all to you. Not just 5 minutes of my day, but all of it. All of it. And that Thessalonians passage, it gives us a real clear picture, doesn't it, of what that looks like. Because I think a lot of times, we look at Bible passages and it's like, all right, give to God everything you have. Well, okay, what does that mean? And here it is. And it's so powerful because what Paul is, Paul Silvanus and Silvanus, not Sylvanus, that's a TV brand, right? Sorry about that. Butcher that. Timothy. So they're writing to this church. And he's like, you guys are kind of an example of what it means to give to God what is his. Like, you guys get it. That's what he's talking about. You get it. And so if you have questions, it's going to be because you want to do it better. You want to be more effective. You want to make sure you don't mess it up. You want to make sure that it's coming out of your faith. So Paul says in 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, verses 2 and following, he says, look, we give thanks to God always for all of you. Constantly, we mention you in our prayers. Why? We're remembering before our God and our Father your work of faith and labor of love and steadfastness of hope in our Lord Jesus Christ. How cool is that? He's like, you dudes are all in. And honestly, when's the last time you prayed and thanked God for those people in your life? Maybe it was grandma, grandpa. Maybe it was an uncle, an aunt. Maybe it was a brother or a sister, mom, dad, whoever it was, who showed you the faith, who lived it out to the extent that you saw it and you were like, whoa, this person gives their whole life to God. Because I think we have this idea that the person who really gives to God what is God's is the person who, who chucks it all and goes as a missionary to Africa, right? And has to dodge, all kinds of, natives trying to cannibalize him and all that. So, that's giving your heart to God. No. It's the parents who get up at 3 a.m. for their kid, who drive hours to go to the doctor's appointments, right? Who spend hours in the doctor's office with mom. The people who sit and have those just taking that time with their kids as they struggle, as they're going through things. Who stay up all night studying, right? Who go to work every day, day in and day out, serving God and serving their family. That's the people who are doing this work of faith and this labor of love, and how this I love that steadfastness of hope in our Lord Jesus. He says, "We know, brothers loved by God, that He has chosen you." So their very lives and what they do, it's preaching, and it's preaching, and it's preaching. We see it, and your life just says that God actually chose you. We make no mistake about that, because our gospel came to you not only in word, but also in power and in the Holy Spirit, and with full conviction. That's what it means to give to God what is God's. So He gives you His word. He's like, embrace it and live it out, and live in such a way that that it's this power. It's not just some words on a page. When we read the Bible, that's what I want us to do. I wanted part of what my sermon was today to help all of us to be asking the right questions when we get into Scripture. And the question is not, how can I get off the hook? How can I justify what I'm doing? But it's like, Lord, what are you saying? I want to hear it. Give it to me straight. Because all those things that those guys said, that Jesus isn't swayed, he's not right, he is legit, he's the real deal. He's going to tell you the way it is. He's going to say you've sinned, you've fallen short. He's going to say that the path you're on may not be what it is, right? Or needs to be. But He's there. And He's forgiven you, and He's given you life, and He's given you the Holy Spirit. You have that power. You have that conviction. He says, you know what kind of men we prove to be among you for your sake, and you have become imitators of us. The word for all of this is your response. And we're right back to where we were last week, right? The invitation, how are we going to respond? Do you want to be in heaven, right? Do you want to be in that massive feast of the Lamb? I do. Free ticket, man, Jesus, free ticket. And you get to spend every day excited that today might be the day that we get to go. I'm all dressed up. I got Jesus. Put Him on. Put on His love. He sees the love of Jesus. He sees His forgiveness. When we just live as that example. He says, you guys are preaching. Like, your life is preaching. The way you live is preaching. How you do life is preaching, right? Your words, they're preaching to all the believers in these places like Macedonia and Achaia. For not only has the word of the Lord sounded forth from you in those places, but it has gone forth everywhere. Your faith has gone forth everywhere, so that we don't have to say anything. The title of this series is When God Reigns, right? And what the idea is not that we somehow control when God reigns, but how do we respond? Right? Are our questions? Because I want us to ask the questions, but questions of faith. Questions that say, Lord, what are you trying to say here? How can I be this one who imitates you, this one who lives for you, this one who is all in? Struggles and all, failures and all. How can I be there? How can what do I need to do? Lord, how do I need to proceed? Because let me just tell you, none of these guys that Paul is talking to had that when Paul met them. when God met them. They were lost. But now they're like these superstars of the faith, but they're just normal people. I just pray that we, again, embrace this reign of God in our lives, this power of God in our lives, and keep asking the questions. Keep struggling, keep looking in Scripture to be filled with this Spirit and with this power. Looking at the Word not just as words, but as God's very own life-giving, life-changing truth for us. And to get our answers, which are all Jesus, by the way, so that when the people around us have these questions, our kids, our friends, we can show them what God's all about. We can come alongside them in the Word. Because I would love for our church and all churches to be known as these people that you can go to with your toughest questions. And we're going to be ready to hear them because we got a Lord and a God who loves us and who hangs in there with us and blesses us. So let's continue to go to Him in Jesus' name.